with Joe Awada. He's a World Series of Poker bracelet holder and 7-card stud. When he won that bracelet in 2004, it was a really crazy final table, and we're going to talk about it. Joe, coming into the final table in 2004, about how many chips did you have? What chip position were you in?
I don't remember the exact chips I had, but I think I was like 4th or 5th on that list.
Going in.
Chips.
And tell me about the other people at that final table. I know you had John Jawanda was there.
Yeah, there was a lot of good, of course, there was great players at the table. John Jawanda was one of them. You know, Lusk, of course, and Dewey as well, Tomico. So, you know, there was some good players on that table.
Any big hands that you recall from that final table?
Not particularly. All I do remember is in the beginning things were going, smooth for me, no bad beats, and I was catching good cards, so I was able to climb up the ladder a bit, build up my chips. But the one thing that they didn't show on TV, during that game, when it went down to me and Lusk heads up, Lusk pretty much in the beginning got a rush of cards, and he really took me down to very low on chips.
And they didn't show that on TV?
And they didn't show that on TV. And I'm just sitting there and talking to myself, let me just, ride that rush of his.
Yeah.
So this way, hopefully, maybe he'll turn around and get into my rush.
Yeah.
And we decided to take a break. And I'm glad that happened, because after the break we come back and sure enough I get my rush, and then I come back and I win the tournament.
And what was the winning hand for you in that tournament?
The diamonds flush.
The diamonds flush?
I went out and I bought my wife a nice diamond ring that day.
So she must have been pretty happy about that.
Yes, she was. Yes.
So 7-card stud is a little bit more complex of a game than Hold'em. Not as many people play it. What would you say the main difference between Hold'em and stud would be from like in your mind, how you're going to think about it, going about the game?
Well, it's funny you're saying that. Not that many people play it now. That's all people used to play before.
I know. It's the game that I learned to play, and it's funny that now Hold'em is just everywhere. But stud is a different mindset, I guess. That's what I was looking for, a different mindset.
Yes, it is. It is a different mindset, and of course, different strategy. You got to have a pretty good memory. You got to memorize cards. But the strategy with the players, reading players, it's still the same, basically.
Okay.
You got to adapt to your competitor's style, see how they play and so on, and be flexible, of course. But the other thing also is I very strongly believe in not chasing with straights and flushes.
So instead you should not chase with any kind of straight or flush?
Absolutely, unless, of course, there's certain situations like if you got 3 overcards, ace, king, queen, so to speak, or a straight flush draw. These, of course.
Those are times you would want to continue.
Other than that, pretty much is reading, knowing when you beat, when to release a hand is very important. And that goes just about in every game.
So if you do have, say, a nut flush draw or a Broadway draw, would you say it would be better to come in raising someone else's bet or even check raising their bet? I've heard you should always be more aggressive, especially in stud. Is that true, do you think?
No, I don't believe in that myself.
No?
And that's why I said you need to adjust your play based on your competitor's play.
Okay.
For example, Lusk was very aggressive, so I allowed him to lead. And of course, that gave me the opportunity to trap, to check raise, to do other things, and that's very important. That's how you, of course, get the most value out of your hand when you have a hand, and knowing what your opponent style and what he's about to do, pretty much.
Do you also think that instead you have to be a little more stringent in choosing your starting hands? You have to be a little more picky about it?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, well, yeah, without saying.
What would be the best? What would be the worst starting hand you would consider okay to start with instead?
Of course, you have to read what's on the table also. So
I've heard that all 3 of your cards should be higher than other people's window cards. You think that's accurate?
Well, that's accurate. But now, okay, let's say, you have 2 kings and there is a king on the board, and there's 2 kings on the board.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you can't go crazy with that. So pretty much it's based on what you read, information you get from the table. Okay, And that's why I said earlier that you have to have a good memory, memorizing all those cards that previously passed before you.
And that's an exercise that people who play Hold'em are not as good at as most people are who play Stud, because Stud players are used to remembering all those cards, whereas Hold'em players don't even have to really do that.
That's true. And aggression pays off in Hold'em, more than Stud. And like you said, in Hold'em, there isn't really that many cards that you could read from, like in Stud.
Yeah.
There's a flop, the turn, and the river, of course, but that's about it.
In Stud, there's so many more cards that are exposed, so it gives you more information.
That's true. Very true.
What would you say to, I know you're a bracelet winner, I know a lot of people watch the World Series of Poker on TV, they want to win a bracelet, they want to get out there and do something like that. What would be your advice to young people who their goal is to win a World Series of Poker bracelet, and that's what they would like to do with their lives? What would you tell them?
Well, I would tell them it's very achievable. However, I would tell them not to make it their main goal in life. Their main goal in life to any young person should be their school and whatever profession that they may choose. Poker is really a hobby, and it's a great hobby. And I see a lot of young people winning bracelets these days. There is no reason why they can't do it. I know one thing, if you enjoy something and if you really like something very much, you will succeed at it as long as you keep trying and you learn from your mistakes.
And you're proof of that. You have a bracelet in your hand now.
I feel very fortunate and lucky with that.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is Lizzie Harrison with Joe Awada for Card Player TV.